Today I want to talk with everybody about humility and how I actually learned to be a little bit more humble through watching none other than John Wayne Parr and Buakaw. I actually had experiences with these guys, actually connecting with them, and went, wow, if these guys, these legends are able to treat me this way back before I had any of these belts, then maybe I should really dial down that, I want to say, a little bit of ego that starts to creep in when you start winning world titles. And a quick pause from the video, guys, to give a shout out to the partner of this episode. We are talking about Ridge Wallet, who have the perfect gift for your loved ones for the upcoming holiday season, which is just around the corner. You can shop right up to December 20th and get massive savings of up to 30% on these amazing sleek wallets, which have RFID blocking to keep your credit cards safe. They can store your cash on the back and up to 12 cards in the middle. Why do I love this product? Because very simply, it can go right into my pocket and nobody even knows that it's there. I don't have this big, bulky, cumbersome thing which just sticks out and protrudes through my pants. They have a variety of awesome colors and patterns, and if you use my link, you can enter your email for a free chance to win a Ridge bundle worth up to $4,000 and no purchase is necessary. With over 3 million customers and 80,000 5-star reviews, plus a 99-day return guarantee, money back, no questions asked, and a lifetime warranty, you really can't go wrong with this product for yourself or for a gift for the upcoming holiday season. You can click the link down below and save up to 30% before December 21st. So, as many of you know, from the very early stages of my martial arts career, I was focused on karate. My dad was teaching me. He actually had something called the Green Book, which he would write down ideas that had values, virtues, life lessons, and he would sit my siblings and I down, also some other martial arts students when he was helping teach, and he would instruct us on these virtues. And one of them, of course, was humility. And that was always something that I tried to keep in check. But as I said, you start winning some belts and your ego starts just growing a little bit. And don't be mistaken, I do think that fighters, to reach a high level, need to have a certain amount of confidence and a certain amount of ego, but it should be inside. I try not to ever let it spill out when I'm talking to other people. And something throughout the years which always really bugged me is when somebody messages me and they go, "Oh, Gabriel, I'm so glad you're willing to talk to me. I was at this fight event and there was this other Glory fighter or a UFC fighter and I went up to say hello and they just kind of snubbed me because they probably knew I'm not a high-level fighter." And I just go, my gosh, that's terrible. So learning from John Wayne Parr and learning from Buakaw really helped teach me what I hope all of you guys do as well. As you start climbing the ranks, you go, people who haven't accomplished what I've accomplished yet, they still deserve all the respect that I wanted when I was starting my career. Very first time that I had an interaction with a high-level fighter was John Wayne Parr. I believe I was probably around 21, 22, had started winning some fights, was probably like 5-0, 6-0, and I really wanted to try and push myself. I wanted to see if I could get on the bigger fight cards because eventually my goal was to get to K1. I wanted to be a part of that promotion. I messaged John Wayne Parr. I don't know what I would have used back then because it definitely wasn't Instagram. Might have been an email, might have been a Facebook message. And I said, I'm such a huge fan. I've watched you on that Contender Asia series, watched your fights, and I was just wondering if you could give me any advice on what promotions to pursue within North America so I can get to the high level. And he was only able to give me the same advice that I give everybody else when they ask me the same question. I just go, find the big promotions that are in your continent, look who the best fighters are, reach out to them, and hopefully they'll sign you. You can't give too much advice other than that, because I can't, or he couldn't, just email them and be like, oh, look, I have this random kid who messaged me from Canada and I want you to put him on the fight card. That's unrealistic. But still, he took the time to read the message and he got back to me. He was polite. He was just so nice. And then when I actually met him years later, at a Bellator event, I think when I had maybe these gloves on, when I actually met him, I was able to say, like, man, you got back to me. It was so nice of you. And he was even nicer in person than I could have imagined. Helps dial in the humility when you see somebody like that who just you know, they're willing to give back to people who, myself back then, no name, probably like 5 fights. Fast forward about 2 or 3 years and I end up in Thailand. And this time I get to go and stay at the camp where one of my kickboxing idols, Buakaw, is training. That was quite the experience. I learned some things about overtraining, things you don't want to do. I learned some, what would we call them? I guess basically things that you think guys in Thailand do, like Mythbusters. You learn things that you think they do, but they're not actually doing, so it was an eye-opener as well. But I also got to go and train alongside Buakaw, see that he's not as serious as he's always portrayed in the K1 videos in the past, that he's actually kind of a goofter, kind of the class clown, chasing people around with matches and just always up to little shenanigans. Anyway, the point of the story is, at that point, he was a 2-time K1 Max champion. Maybe not quite as famous as he is now, but still within the kickboxing world, royalty. So I go there, I train for a couple weeks. The day I'm leaving, he speaks a tiny bit of English and he's just like, no, don't go. We want you to stay, more or less was what he was saying. Gave me a big hug when I left and I was just kind of blown away. I'm like, well, 2-time K1 Max champion is asking me to stay and gives me a hug when I leave. He's only known me for a couple weeks. I'm like, he doesn't know who I am. I mean, yeah, it's cool that I went on to win some big belts and stuff, but back then, there was no reason for him to go like, oh, this guy is really gonna be special and I want to get in his good graces, or I want to try and get him to stay at this camp. He was just being a nice guy. He was just being a very genuine, lovely person. And again, I look back on that and I go, he could have been there with his ego, and there was no ego. And it was just so cool to see guys like Buakaw and John Wayne Parr at the highest level of Muay Thai and kickboxing, and still to have that humility that they're willing to not only talk to people like myself who back then had accomplished very little, but to be so nice and just to treat people like people and not have that hierarchy, which is something that I've heard about in pretty much every industry. Somebody reaches this level as opposed to the people down here and they kind of look down at them and snub them. And I just go, I don't understand that, not even a little bit. So humility, learned from John Wayne Parr, learned from Buakaw, learned from my father and from karate and lots of good instructors throughout the years. This is something I urge everybody on the channel to really try and dial in, especially as you start climbing the ranks. Somebody comes into your gym and they're brand new. I wouldn't give them like, I was watching Cobra Kai recently and it's like the new students get berated a little bit and everybody's a little mean to them until you earn your stripes and you're taken more seriously. Like, why can't we just treat everybody nicely? Help them along the road, because this is already a hard road to take. Martial arts, if you want to get good at it, is not easy. Somebody walks through the door, they're being brave. Give them respect for that. Treat them politely. Anyway, that's my spiel today. My little lesson on just trying to be a better person and to make everybody around you a little bit happier to be in your presence. Let's call it there, guys. As always, train hard, be kind, be humble, and I will see you back here soon for another video.